But yeah, man, who you got in championship games? Who you got in championship game? Have you thought about that yet?
So championship games right now, I have the Ravens, and I gotta say their
Say
name.
it.
I got the Ravens and the Chiefs. Um,
I
you know,
understand.
I have Ravens and the Chiefs. The main reason I have the Ravens and the Chiefs is because I don't think I wanted the Steelers to be that surprise team, and I think they still could be a surprise, right? But it depends on if they make it out of the first round. Um, if they make it out of the first round
They could,
healthy
but
and they're actually are on their stuff, right? I think they can make a slight run. I don't believe in the Texans. I'm not locked in on the Texans. And then again, the Bills. I just feel like the Ravens could clip them or the Chiefs could clip them if they were to match up. So that's the reason why I'm going with the Ravens going against the Chiefs. However, on the other side, I have the Eagles and I got the Lions. Long story short here, the Lions are playing the type of football I like to see play. They can run the ball really well. They have pretty good receivers. Their defense is not terrible. It's not bad. Obviously, a lot of injuries, but for some reason, I feel like there's injuries due to like real bad injuries that you see on the field or whatnot, but also those injuries that you put on IR just to get some players rested before the playoffs happen. And I have a small little thought that a coach, a player coach like they have, right, who has played the game as well, who all of his staff are all players who had played the game before. I just feel like there is a possibility that was mentioned, like, hey, we already clinched the playoffs. Let's hold some guys back just to give them some time to rest a little bit longer because we've already had a grueling beatdown. Right, there are guys who are definitely super injured. We can't worry about them. But for the rest of those other guys, just so we
yeah,
don't lose the rest, let's hold off a little bit. We'll pick this thing back up because they're not losing games like like they are a shell of the team that we've seen before, but it's like a good shell. It's like a solid shell. The Eagles,
yeah,
man, they look
solid
really
show.
good. They look really good. I mean, Saquon Barkley is, in my opinion, he's picking up where he left off with the Giants, but and then some. He's a force to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm.
Having a good running back in the playoffs is crazy. And so I love what Philly got going on. They have solid receivers. They have a good defense. Their offensive line is not bad. Jalen Hurts is really the only one I gotta ask questions about. But also Jalen Hurts in the playoffs or Jalen Hurts in critical games, in my opinion, he's always shown up. He may not have given you the most highlight reel that you're going to get even when his days in college every time, but he's a professional in my opinion. As in, he's going to do what needs to be done to try to win this game, right? And if it comes down to
Yeah,
losing the game, a lot of times it's not going to be because he threw a pick or he did this wrong. It's going to be because their defense did not march the way they needed to do. They need in order to make things happen. Their defense lost the game more so than him losing the game on his own. So I like the Eagles, Lions in the NFC, and I think these two will be probably the most entertaining games we're going to see in a long time because the Ravens and the Chiefs. This is the part that's killing me. I've said this to other people, and we've talked about this before. I think the Ravens have learned from their mistakes they did last year, which is if I'm a running team, I'm going to run the ball like I've been doing all season compared to trying to mix it up at the back end and try to beat the Chiefs at the Chiefs game. If you do that, you will lose. So run the ball, you end up in the Super Bowl. For the Lions and Eagles, just put on a show. Just put on a show. That's all we expect. We want to see a show and do your thing. But yeah, I got Ravens in the Super Bowl if they run the ball. The Lions and Eagles, that could be a toss up. You coin flip.
mm,
It's a coin flip. I can't put my finger on that one. What about you?
cool. So I'm gonna tell you the the championships that I would want to see, and then who I think will likely be there. Championships I want to see. I want to see Buffalo versus the Ravens. I feel like that's the MVP rematch that we need to see because obviously Buffalo has gotten better since then. The Ravens have finally figured out who they are, we think, and we're just hoping that we can see that in the playoffs. Unfortunately, because of seeding, I think Kansas City will be in the playoffs again, except I think, or they'll be in the championship game and they will see Buffalo. I think Buffalo wins out this time simply because I think Josh Allen will make the plays that is what hurts Kansas City right now is that O-line. And I think what truly will hurt them in the biggest moments will be that O-line. Because what I really hate now is that they don't have the inside run game no more. Pacheco and Hunt on the inside run game was chef kiss. I don't care what nobody say. Andy Reid throwing the ball is amazing. Andy Reid running the ball, that's not an offense you want to play against. It's nasty. That in the mix of him with a healthy mix of throwing the ball and running the ball, it's unstoppable. What I thought would have been a great NFC Championship would have been Eagles versus Green Bay. I would have loved to see Jordan Love in an NFC Championship game just to see what he does in a real big game. What I think we're going to get and what I think will probably be one of the best game this year if it does happen is Eagles versus Vikings. If Sam Darnold can maintain his play and these teams are going back and forth at one another, it could probably give us something similar to what we saw in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago in the forms of the Rams and the Patriots, where you could have two defenses kind of dominating the game, and then whichever offense can make the right plays, that's the team that's going to win the game. Frankly, I think if either the Vikings or the Eagles go to the Super Bowl, like I said, I think it's Buffalo, and I think the NFC wins just because I like these defenses too much. These two NFC defenses, they throw a lot at your quarterbacks, and even if your quarterback is a dog, I will say this, Josh has been making some plays this year. Him and Lamar, they've been two quarterbacks that no matter what you've thrown at them, they've kind of done what they needed to do. But I just like those two NFC teams in totality, how they run the ball, how they throw the ball at you, and then most of all, what those defense has been doing. Because I took Philly out of my NFC Championship,
Yeah, early on,
and
yeah.
because I did not like their defense. Week 12, they proved me right. They proved me wrong 3 weeks in a row, so I had to put them back in the playoffs, and then I think about 2 weeks ago I put them back in NFC Championship. So I got Philly and Buffalo in the Super Bowl.
That's a heck of a game. That's a heck of a game.
I would like to see it.
The Northeast would love to see that actually happen.
Oh yeah, I would have loved to see Detroit and Baltimore would have been hilarious. All the fur coats and Cadillacs on the streets would have been crazy.
I would say this though for the NFL, I know. Look, I love the Super Bowl like everybody else loves the Super Bowl, and for years we've had teams that are not in particularly the same area play each other, but in this case, you got Buffalo and Philly. If they were to make the Super Bowl, I mean, New Orleans is a great city, but imagine a Super Bowl in New York City between the Eagles and the Buffalo Bills in New York City.
That'd be crazy.
You know Times Square is going to show that game on all of the screens? What? In the freezing?
Traffic would be so trash.
In the cold, though?
Traffic would be so trash. My God.
You're going to have a cold, rugged, old school classic, the way New Yorkers like football, the way the Northeast love football, that type of game. And guess what? It's outdoors. This is not a dome game. This will be an outdoors game.
There's no telling what type of weather you would get in that game. It could be snowing, it could be frozen, but it could be a 50-degree weather day, and it'll just be the day.
That ticket,
you never know.
Super Bowl tickets are already high.
Oh, that ticket would be crazy.
That
New York.
Like this is the closest they're going to get to having a New York team in the Super Bowl until the Giants and Jets figure something out. The Giants more.
Buffalo is a New York team.
Well, as a New York City type of team, not just But like I said, that would be.
I'm gonna be frank. New York fans, y'all not sniffing one in the next 20 years.